Hello trainers and welcome to another episode of Saccharum Versus. My name is Professor Saccharum and today I have an OU match for you between me and my friend Kwame. We actually had tried to do this battle once before and we got disconnected some point during the battle. It was actually at the very end. So we both had a bit of an idea of what our teams looked like and what we were running on these teams. So this battle actually ended up coming straight down to the wire, and you're going to have to see this one out for yourself. As you can see from my team, I have my Galvantula to lead off with my Sticky Web support and basically good electric type on my team. I have my Crawdaunt, which is actually something I'm trying out very new for the first time. I really like it, actually. It works really well. This one's a Bandit for some reason. It has Dragon Dance, so I probably should change the item on it because I could probably get something better off of it. I have my Mega Blastoise right there. You can't tell right now, but it is Mega. I have my Slowbro for my physical wall, my Conkeldurr over on the end for my special defensive wall with Guts, and I have my Honchkrow right front and center. Well, right, not front and center, but right in the middle, right over there, to get priority up, get some flying type advantage, and take to switch in case there's any potential earthquakes that come out. And Kwame's team, he does have a very sort of standard, old standard OU team. He's got his Rotom Wash, very good. I think it's, I can't tell if it's the physical or especially defensive Rotom Wash, just because recently there's been a big boost for especially defensive Rotom. He has his Greninja out on his team. He's got his Goodra, his Charizard, which is his Mega. He's got the Dragonite on there, and then his Azumarill. So, just so I can get started with this battle, let's see what we have going. So, we have my dear amigo Kwame issuing a challenge, and he decides to lead off with his Rotom, and I decide to lead off with my Galvantula. Now, seeing as I can do about half damage more to this, I decided to go straight for the Thunder, especially since I knew I probably wasn't going to miss due to Compound Eyes, and I do a good chunk of damage. He goes for the Hydro Pump and deals also a good amount of damage back, so right now we're both neck and neck. He decides to switch, however, and I found this as the perfect opportunity to go straight into my Sticky Webs, as his Dragonite does come out right here. And although I could have gotten some damage off on it, and probably could have gone for the HP Ice, Hidden Power Ice, that was probably the better play on my turn, because I didn't know what he was going to do. He could have stayed in. This Dragonite does go for the extreme speed and knocks out my Galvantula straight down, and I go right into my boss man, the Conkeldurr. And this Conkeldurr does not want to stay in and take an Ice Punch, as he already has seen before. And however, I do go straight for the Ice Punch because that was probably the safest play on my part. I probably could have even gone for knockoff and it would have been a better play, just because this Azumarill totally eats that up. And however, he does outspeed me after the Sticky Web support and goes for the Play Rough, and it does way too much damage, and he gets the attack drop as I go for the knockoff here just to get rid of his item, thinking that he was a Belly Drum set. And he, however, is Choice Scarfed, so that would explain why he outsped me before. I decided to switch out and go straight into my Slowbro, knowing that it's going to take whatever physical type move it's gonna throw out, because it's a Slowbro. Slowbro's got the best probably physical defense out there, for now anyway. We'll see what happens in the future. And he decides to switch out into his Greninja while I'm just going for Scald, trying to catch a burn on any Pokemon that come in or something. I was going to try and burn that Azumarill, but he did decide to switch. Scald does make contact and no burn, unfortunately, so hacks are not on my side for today. And I do get back to full HP, which is good for me. However, he goes for the U-turn, which is pretty good, good on him, but he doesn't do a whole heck of a lot of damage. Greninja isn't the best physically, but I've been seeing a lot of physical Greninja lately, so maybe that's a new thing. I haven't caught on yet. I still haven't tried it yet, but it probably works in some occasions. So he decides to go right into his Rotom Wash again, and I go for the the Scald again, and I decided to switch out because I do not want to take a Volt Switch at all. I knew that Slowbro was not going to want to take a Volt Switch at all. I'm guessing he predicted that and went straight for the Will-O-Wisp or something. I'm not sure, but unfortunately for him, my Conkeldurr has guts, so this burn is actually going to really help me out. Now, he could have tried to finish me off right there with Volt Switch and had a really good turnout, but he goes for rest to try and get all of his HP back, and I go straight for the Drain Punch to try and get all of my HP right after he wakes up. So this thing is now almost down again. I was hoping I could have knocked it out, but you know what? It was probably better that I didn't, just to see how this battle would turn out, because he would have had a clean switch into his next Pokemon, and I wouldn't have had any sort of damage or anything come off of it. So he does Volt Switch, and he goes straight into Blue Mao 5, which is the Azumarill that we saw earlier. Now that it's no longer Choice Scarfed, I'm able to get some HP back from it and take some good damage off of it with my Drain Punch. And he decides to go... Actually, I don't know. He just came into the switch. I'm sorry. But knowing that I do outspeed him now, he decides to switch into his Dragonite yet again, which I could have gone for the Ice Punch right there, but I decided to go for Mach Punch when the Azumarill was out, because I would have been able to knock it out there and been fine. The Dragonite is in, gets its leftovers damage, and I'm down to Extreme Speed range, which this Dragonite does end up using, and it takes down Boss Man, the Conkeldurr. So it was at this point I realized that he had all 6 of his Pokemon, and I still only had, and I had lost a couple already. So I was trying to play really conservatively here, or at least trying to play very hyper offensive at this point, just try and deal some damage. And I go straight into the knockoff with my with the Crawdaunt to try and deal as much damage as this incoming blue Azumarill. I am all messed up with the names today, with this Azumarill coming out, and it does go down. So now he is down 1 finally. So that is his first Pokemon that he has gone down with. And his Greninja does come out. I decided to go for the knockoff again, thinking that it might do enough to actually knock it out, but it leaves it with about 1 HP, so the potential for it to have gone down would have been good. He goes for the U-turn to try and deal as much damage as possible to go down. The Crawdaunt does not have it. Now, the only weird thing about this Greninja is that it has Eviolite, and Eviolite does not affect Greninja. I know it boosts the defensive and special defensive Pokemon that have one stage, or at least one stage of evolution left, but not for a fully evolved Pokemon. So you're gonna have to check that out and switch your item around, Kwame. But the Dragonite did come out. I know that I'm not gonna live in extreme speed from it because Crawdaunt is very frail, and I go straight into my Blastoise, which is another good physical wall on this team, but not enough that it'll be my physical wall. This is more of a tank Pokemon, so my Blastoise does decide to Mega Evolve, or I decide to Mega Evolve it, sorry. And I go for the nothing right now, because his Outrage is coming through, and I go for the Dark Pulse right after I take some of this damage right here. And I see his Dragonite is still living. It's still doing a lot. It's doing a lot of work, putting in so much work for him right now. So he goes to the Outrage again and takes out my Mega Blastoise. So Blastoise didn't really get to do too much here. I would argue that Blastoise should belong in OU. However, seeing as it is in UU is pretty good, because now we have at least a really good Mega in UU, which is nice to have. But there are other Megas too in UU, so I think Blastoise gets kind of the short end of the stick. I go back into Crawdaunt here, just to see how much damage I can do. I was going straight for the Confusion Hacks, hoping that he would hit himself, and I go for the knockoff. So that was a very risky play on my part. I had to start playing risky at this point, because that Dragonite was going to be a huge threat to my team entirely. He could have swept the Dragonite if he had so wished. He does go for Volt Switch with his Rotom that just came in, so he knocks out my Crawdaunt, which is alright, because Crawdaunt, essentially I kept it in there because it was going to go down, and I wanted to get a clean switch. So Crawdaunt, you did a good job. You showed some good work and some good progress in this battle. I'll use you again in the future, hopefully. And I decided to go straight into my Slowbro, as I saw that this was a physical Greninja, so I was going to be able to take whatever he had to offer. So he does go for the Shadow Sneak, and the Shadow Sneak does a decent amount of damage, not too much though. It does about 30 damage. and I go straight for the skull to finish knocking it out. So I had realized also at this point of the battle that although I didn't knock out any of his Pokemon, I had done a severe amount of damage to at least a good chunk of them, all but 2. So he does go into his Rotom here after knocking out the Greninja, and he does go for the Volt Switch to try and, like, you know, deal a good amount of damage. I was surprised at actually how well Slowbro ate up that hit, just because it's a Slowbro and it's not really specially defensive. It is only really physically defensive. But I go for the Slack Off here to get my HP back. So I'm now at 90, and then I go straight to 194, I believe, or yeah, 191. There we go. I couldn't read the numbers for a second. And then with my leftovers, I'm back at 202. The Sludge Bomb does make contact, and it doesn't do a whole heck of a lot again. I go for the Psyshock, and here's a misplay that I could have had and had a safer match, but at this point of the battle, I only had 2 Pokemon left, so I had to try and be, like, bold at this point while being risky, while being safe. So I do decide to go do a pull hard switch into my Honchkrow. Seeing his Psyshock didn't really do much. I could have went for a second Psyshock just to get as much damage off and guarantee like a really good like knockout with Honchkrow and get my Moxie boost, because at this point of the battle my reliance on winning was trying to get a Moxie boost and then sweep with Sucker Punch, or try and sweep with Sucker Punch. And unfortunately enough, he was at low enough damage that I would have been able to knock it out with a Sucker Punch. So Moxie does come through, and now Honchkrow is at +1 with a Life Orb and priority. So basically, this is about game right here. Sucker Punch does get up on this Rotom again. I'm surprised he switched into Rotom. He probably could have switched into his Charizard and actually just, you know, finished up the match. He probably could have taken out Honchkrow before I could have taken it out, because I was only at +1. Charizard does come out, and although it says Charizard Y, he does Mega Evolve at this point into Charizard X after the failed turn where nothing happened, where I tried to Sucker Punch him and he went for Roost. So I probably could have got a substitute up there, but it didn't really matter. I just had to press Sucker Punch and win at this point of the match. So he does Mega Evolve into Charizard. I go for the Sucker Punch. Charizard does go down, and that is good game, Kwame. Thank you very much, Kwame, for that battle. That was really, really good. You put me in the tightest of corners there at the end, having only my Slowbro and my Honchkrow, but they pulled through. Honchkrow put in a lot of work, even though it saw only endgame, which was awesome, and I love it for it, and I love my whole team. They did so much work for it. It was actually a really good OU team, with only half of them actually being OU. One of them is Borderline, and the other 3 are UU. I actually found out that Galvantula was UU after that, because we had another battle later that was a UU match, and I ended up using Galvantula again because I found out. So if you like this battle, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave your friend codes so I can issue battles with you guys. And also, if you have any sort of battles that you would like to see commentated by me or whatever, don't forget to leave that battle code in the comment section, or email it to me or whatever if you don't want everyone else to see it first. You have ways to contact me through my social networks, via Facebook, Twitter, and potentially Instagram too. I'm not on Instagram too often, and I don't really do too much with it, except for maybe advertise these videos. But that's really about it. So please be sure to do everything I just asked you to before. I really hope you enjoyed this battle, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!